Hey guys, it's me Mr. 250, and welcome back to Higurashi. So, unfortunately this was another long time. I didn't think it'd been this long since I last played it. I really didn't think so. So apologies about that again. We're going to get into this one. I remember last time talking about we had a few options it looked like we could go into, and this Pt.1 one, the tea set being put away, I remember that, and Ichiro, my bar, inspecting a vacant lot. I'm pretty sure they talked about that happening. I'm assuming we can get started with this one, so let's try it. No, we cannot. Okay, so I guess we actually have to see him inspecting the lot. Good to know. There's not that many left. The mysterious death of the Furude couple? Yes, okay. School is the children's world. The values of grown-ups don't apply. Children decide their own values and create their own world. So the rules of the grown-up world of the village don't mean anything here. Even when the villagers badmouth the Hojo family and try to isolate them, that has no meaning at our school. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules they think are irrational don't exist here. That's why, as the representative for the children here, I vow that I will never let any irrational rules come into our world. Within the school, no harassment is allowed towards the Hojo siblings. In the very beginning, some boys teased Satoko, but they were punished severely, and it hasn't happened ever since. They got taken into the torture dungeon. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village. So I hope Satoshi and Satoko both feel that the school is a safe place for them. Satoshi must notice my concern, because he often smiles when he's here. However, I never see Satoko smile. Satoko's classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after they decided that it was best just to leave her alone. I used to try to talk to her, but when I realized something, I stopped doing that. I'm a member of the Sonozaki family. To Satoko, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is to watch over her. That's why Satoko is alone in the classroom. That said, Rika-chan is always hanging around with her, even though Satoko told her she was annoying. Satoshi, too, is always beside her. These two are the only ones who remain by her side. It isn't limited to Satoko, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing towards the Hojo family, because their hysterical aunt is so hostile towards her neighbors. There's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know there are fights worth picking, and also fights better set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she'd stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have gone so far. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she's dragging everyone in the family into it as well. The uncle and the aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Satoko are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Satoko. This was the same too. The aunt is her guardian after all, but Satoko doesn't even try to hide her disgust. So things aren't going smoothly between them. If she'd behaved like Satoshi, then she wouldn't have been made into a target. So does that mean that the sad life Satoko is living right now is something she caused herself? No, it doesn't. But no matter how much I sympathize, and how much I want to help her, nobody knows what to do. An apology won't change the situation. The flow can't be reversed. The fact that the Hojo family is ostracized by the entire village can't be changed. That's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. once they become your enemies. The world can become so cruel. Japanese people have known that since ancient times, which is why we cultivated empathy and an obligation to show courtesy to one's neighbors. No matter who I blame, Satoko won't smile. So the only thing I can do is to watch over her and make sure she's safe when she's at school.
ありがとう、ミオ。
えごめん、何？
貞子にいつも気を使ってくれてありがとうって。
Satoshi kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things as if he can read your thoughts. I tried to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking.
貞子は笑顔の浮かべ方を忘れてしまっただけなんだよ。学校にいる時は本当に少しだけ肩の力を抜ける時間を得られてる。それはきっと貞子にとってとても優しい時間になってるって思ってるよ。
おじさんが気を使えるのはせいぜいこの程度だしね。
そんなことないよ。僕も感謝してるよ。
よしてよ。感謝されることなんかないって。迷惑かけてるのは多分うちなんだしさ。
そんなこと思ってないよ。全然。
I'm not good at reading people's subtle cues, but I know for sure what he just said is a lie. Satoshi knows that he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozakis, and he's, of course, aware that I'm a member of the Sonozaki family too. Satoshi is mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he would hate me bitterly. Knowing that, the least I can do is not get close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Satoko looking depressed or Satoshi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. That might be even more troublesome to Satoshi and Satoko, though.
私、聡子の気持ちを全然理解してないのかな。
どうして？
聡子が辛い思いをしてる一番の原因は、そこの娘の私が聡子の周りをうろちょろすることは空気の読めてないこと。
そんなことはないよ。ミオンはそれくらいがちょうどいいと思うけどな。
何よそれ。私は無神経な方がぴったりだって言うの？
そういう意味じゃないよ。その空気というのが聡子から笑顔を奪っているのなら、そんな空気なんか全然気にしない人じゃなきゃ聡子に笑顔は戻せないって思ってるから。
うまいこと言ってるけど、さりげなくおじさんのことバカにしてるでしょ。ひどいな。
バカにしてなんかいないよ。助けてほしいだけなんだよ。僕一人の力じゃ聡子に笑顔は戻せない。ミオンみたいな力強い人の助けがいるんだよ。
でも私園崎家のミオンだよ。私なんかが無神経なことやったらかえって聡子を傷つけるかも。
その空気が聡子を一人ぼっちにしているのに、だからミオンも聡子を一人ぼっちにするのかい
？This is the first time Satoshi has asked me for something so aggressively. Satoko is a very important person to him. He's saying that he needs my help to make her smile again. But still, no, maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family is an issue among the grown-ups. We children don't need to care about that. The irrational rules of the grown-ups don't mean anything in our world. So I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world, using methods of my own.
聡子は本当に私のこと迷惑に思わないかな。
初めは 少しは思うかもしれない。でも僕も一緒だから。ミオンと一緒だから、すぐに打ち解けるよ。
そうかな。今日学校が終わったらさとこを遊びに誘ってみる？
家に帰るとおばさんにいろいろ言われて表に出られなくなってしまうかもしれない。
なら簡単だね。家に帰らずに遊べばいいんだ。
でも帰りがあまりにも遅くなると何の道草を食っていたんだと。
ならさ、あれ部活動に加わったっていうのはどう？
部活？
うん、部活ってことにして学校で遊んでから帰ればいいじゃん。だって学校から帰らないでそのまま遊んでる男の子だって大勢いるんだしね。全然問題ないよ。
あ、でも服を汚すとまたおばさんに。
ならさ、アウトドアじゃなくてインドア中心にすればいいわけよ。それなら服も汚れないしね。
インドアってことは教室？でもあんまり暴れると千恵先生に。
インドアで暴れずに、だけれども熱く遊ぶことは可能なんだ
We
よ。
can distract her with curry.
おじさん、こう見えてもゲームが大好きでね、海外ものの貴重なものとか結構集めてたりするのさ。マニュアルが英語だったり難しかったりで対戦してくれる相手がいなくて死蔵しちゃってるのが多いんだけどね。
それ聡子にも遊べるかな？
もちろん。ルールなんてね、わかんなかったらその場で作っちゃえばいいんだよ。全員が同じルールに従う以上、どんなルールだったって公平なんだからね。
I said it so confidently, but would bringing games from home and asking Satoko to play with us actually make her smile again? What have I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow.
あとさ、ミオン、相談があるんだけど。
何？おじさんで乗れる相談なら何でも聞いてよ。
僕、アルバイトを探してるんだ。
Yes, okay, that was another trigger I needed.
聡子を元気づけるのに、誕生日に素敵なプレゼントをしたら喜ぶかなって思って。
Oh, okay, just that one line, but I guess that's all I needed, maybe. Let's see, where's that one at? I know I saw that. Okay, I think we had the footsteps a while ago, I believe. So I think the part-time job was what I needed for that one. And the aunt hasn't died yet. We haven't inspected the vacant lot. So yeah, that would be the way to go, I'm pretty sure. Let's try it out. Yes, there we go.
そうですか。いえいえ、届けなんていりません。サトシ君は我がひなみ沢ファイターズの頼もしい選手なんですからね。席はちゃんと開けてあります。いつでも戻ってきていいんですからね。
わかりません。当分は戻ってこれないと思うので、一度退部にしてもらった方がいいと思いまして。
Satoshi-kun says he wants to quit the Hinamizawa fighters. I know very well of Satoshi-kun and Satoko-chan's situation, so I was expecting that he might say this. The relationship between Satoko-chan and her aunt has gotten worse, to the point that it could be considered abuse. When someone from the Child Consultation Center came, of course her aunt behaved herself. Then immediately after, her harassment turned even more vicious. According to the neighbors, the aunt scolding and Satoko-chan's crying can be heard nightly, and sometimes it goes on past midnight. Satoko-chan's weekly physical checkup results are slowly growing worse. and we're trying to keep her stable by increasing her medication. But unless her relationship with her aunt improves, she's sure to go terminal and sink into madness. Although she isn't the type to become deranged, even at the terminal stage. She's the type who holds everything in, harboring her insanity inside. Just like she pushed her parents off the cliff 2 years ago, Satoko-chan may kill her aunt. Thanks to the mountain dogs, the incident was resolved as an accident, and Oishi stepped aside, although he is still suspicious. If something like that happens again around Satoko-chan, he's sure to investigate her mercilessly. I can't do anything more about Satoko-chan's environment changing for worse. So I'm not surprised to hear that Satoshi-kun wants to quit the baseball team so he can be with his sister more.
実は僕、アルバイトを始めるんです。それで、あまり野球に出られなくて。
アルバイトですか。何か買いたいものでもあるんですか？
はい。もうすぐ、サトコの誕生日なんです。サトコが欲しがっているぬいぐるみがあるので、それをプレゼントしてやりたいと思いまして。
That's right. I remember the birth date on her insurance card. I think it's June 24th. Right after the Watanagashi Festival.
そうですか。サトシ君は本当に妹思いのお兄さんですね。それはきっとサトコちゃんも喜んでくれるでしょう。
喜んでくれると嬉しいです。
I can tell Satoshi-kun is also stressed out. To him, seeing Satoko-chan being harassed is the same thing as being harassed himself. His stress can be released through moderate exercise, such as with sports and also with plenty of rest. If Satoko-chan's being yelled at nightly, then it's easy to figure out that Satoshi-kun isn't getting enough sleep either. I don't know what kind of job he's starting, but I don't think he'll be able to vent his stress on it. In fact, I don't like the idea of Satoshi-kun taking a part-time job, because he's already so worn out in every way. I asked him if he wanted me to help him pay for the present, but of course he declined the offer. It's a present from him, so he wants to earn the money himself. He's taking this part-time job only to earn enough money to buy Satoko-chan's present, so it'll be a temporary thing. If it's for a short period of time, maybe it won't be that bad. While I want to stop him from working, because I don't want him to get even more stressed. Since he says Satoko-chan's birthday is near, I don't think I can stop him. Satoshi-kun is determined. If I say any more, I may lose his trust. So I'll have to accept his leave of absence.
そうだ。監督、バットを。
Oh, there's the bateau. I completely misunderstood his words. Later I found out he carried around that bat to protect himself. And realized that, even then, he was already showing some dangerous symptoms. He believed that there would be a fourth mysterious death this year, and that he would be the victim. He became obsessed with the idea that someone was after his life. That is a symptom of Hinamizawa syndrome's terminal stage. But although I was involved so deeply with the syndrome, I was careless.
バットですか？
Bato.
はて、何に使うんですか？
You know, just to hit the old rocks around. Satoshi-kun had his own bat. So he should have asked if he could take it home, but instead he asked if he could borrow it. When I think about it now, he said it that way to lighten his guilty conscience. But how could I have known then?
いえ、野球にはそんなに来れなくなりますけど、でもきっと一人で
Oh yeah, we'll be doing some swing and we're gonna swing the head off this uncle.
それはいいですね。そういうことならぜひ持って行ってください。素振りをするときは十分周りを確認して危険がないよう注意してからやってくださいね。ご近所迷惑でなければタイヤを吊るしてそれを打つのもいい練習になるでしょう。
Swinging a bat can release stress. So letting him take his bat home will help. That's what I thought. But that was a huge mistake. I realized it only when things were already past the point of no return. Can't trust anybody with the bateau. I do appreciate that that's how the club was started. You know, thinking back to the last scene. That they started it just because they wanted Satoko to be, you know, to have a reason to not have to go home for as long as possible, pretty much. Alright. The bat to beat her to death. I believe we have that now. Yes, we do. Oh, and is this Oishi, maybe? We are prepared to respond quickly this year. That was why we were able to start the investigation immediately, by securing the crime scene. The victim is the wife of the younger brother of the Hojo couple, so she's an extremely suitable target for the 4th year's curse of Oyashiro-sama. She has a horrible reputation amongst the locals. After the incident, everyone said she deserved to be cursed. I have a general idea of who the culprit might be. It's probably Satoshi Hojo. That innocent-looking kid. There's even a motive. The deceased abused his sister relentlessly. So this would be in revenge for that. Also, when he attended the inspection of the crime scene, he was rather frantic, and yet also far too composed, as if he was totally unrelated to the incident. My intuition from many years of police work tells me that 8 or 9 times out of 10, someone who acts like that is the perp. I have no concrete proof, but if I question him and shake him up a bit, I have a feeling he'll confess.
これだけ仏をめった打ちにしていれば、星も返り血を少なからず浴びたものと思います。そいつが見つけられれば決め手になりそうですね。
まあよっぽどの間抜けでなけりゃ処分してるでしょうがね。犯行を認めた後に捨てたと称する場所から発見できれば検察も納得してくれるでしょう。
This was pretty insignificant as a standalone case. A confession from Satoshi Hojo would end it. Everyone except me must believe that. But if I look at it as part of the series of mysterious deaths, it won't be so easy. Either the 3 families of the village, or the Sonozaki family alone, is directly involved in this. If they are the ones pulling the strings, they must have instigated Satoshi Hojo into committing this crime. If so, Satoshi Hojo is someone who knows way too much about them. The Sonozaki family's actions must remain hidden. If he could connect them to the crime, would they let him run around freely? Satoshi Hojo is a loving brother who cares very much for his sister, and they set him up to kill his aunt as the 4th year curse. After that, they'll eliminate one person who can connect them to the crime, or the one person. Satoshi Hojo is not just a simple criminal. He was set up. And after that, my suspicions were confirmed. For he abruptly vanished. He disappeared in such a puzzling way. He didn't run because he was afraid that his crime had come to light. Another culprit came into the picture. He was already arrested for a different crime, and furthermore, he died while in prison. He confessed to information only the culprit himself would have known. Therefore, he must be the culprit. But as he's already dead, the investigation was closed. Then Satoshi Hojo disappeared a few days after the festival. It's obvious someone doesn't want Satoshi Hojo to be connected to this incident. My boss put pressure on me to close the investigation and to file Satoshi Hojo's disappearance as a separate incident. He even handed the case over to a different section. The way this case is closing so rapidly greatly resembles the same trick used 2 years ago with the Hojo couple accident. There's no doubt it's the work of someone who can put pressure on the police. As it happens, the Sonozaki family is the only one who can actually exact influence on the police department here in the Hinamizawa area. They may think their trails are covered, but this points towards them more clearly than anything. According to my informant, Oryu Sonozaki mentioned the fourth year's curse at the family meeting and hinted that she was the one behind it all. Hinting isn't strong enough evidence, but there's no mistaking that Oryu Sonozaki is the one pulling the strings. I know they're the ones who did in the old man. But I can't just grab them. The principal offender is still on the loose, but I'm sure he's being sheltered somewhere by the Sonozaki family. I have to locate him and find that missing right arm. I'll return the arm to his grave and make the principal offender and the masterminds both bow down before it. However, just like how Satoshi Hojo disappeared, it's possible the principal offender has already been eliminated. I bet he's already been killed and buried somewhere no one can find. Oop, sorry. If that's the case, then that's fine. I'll make the old bag who ordered someone to kill the old man slam her forehead on the ground before his grave. This I swear. After the fourth year's curse, people are already saying something will happen again this next year. Even with all my preparations, I couldn't prevent the incident from happening this time. It's too late if something happens. I must keep my eyes on the core of the village before something takes place. There's a reason why I have to get to the bottom of this by next year. Because I'm retiring. My mother has been wanting to go back to her hometown in Hokkaido, and for a long time she's been asking me to move there when I retire. I feel that's the least I can do for her, so I agreed to move to Hokkaido when I retire. So next year is my last chance to avenge the old man's death. It happened 4 years in a row, so more than likely there'll be a fifth curse too. As a result of the series of mysterious deaths, the village has been tightly knit together since the dam protests. They were told that betrayers will be punished in the name of the curse. To the masterminds, that's enough reason to continue with the series of mysterious deaths. According to rumors, this year's victim, the aunt, was cursed because she didn't participate in the Watanagashi festival. So there are villagers who believe that if they don't participate in the next year's Watanagashi, they'll be cursed. It'll be a huge festival next year for sure. Something will happen. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. I will avenge the old man. I definitely will.